When I worked at the ER, I worked 3 days a week. I had no life. I was exhausted. And then I would go back to work, for example, after a couple of days, and I had millions of papers to fill out and do all this paperwork. It was just so exhausting. It was draining.
Is there something that you feel is kind of misunderstood in the aesthetics world? Because I know a lot of doctors and also APPs, they think of aesthetics like, oh, it's just fillers and it's Botox and, it's whatever. But it sounds like it actually takes a lot of work and effort and money to get started. I mean, I don't
Yes.
think that's something people really know or
Right.
expect. What are some things you wish healthcare providers knew more before they pivoted into aesthetics? Because I think the stakes are also high, right? It's someone's face. You can't really
Right.
mess it up. So I
Right.
think
Exactly.
when
Yeah.
we think aesthetics, it's sometimes a little dismissive, but it's clearly very hard work,
It is. It's
especially
very hard.
if you want to maintain those high standards and those good patient reviews.
Right. Right. Yes. This you basically you don't there's no downtime. You don't have time to slack. You can say that, okay, well, I'm tired for this patient and then I'll make up for the other one, kind of thing. That no, every face that I see, I treat it as a craft. So a lot of people, they think like Botox, and these are the people, a lot of providers that I've worked with, they treat every face the same way. So a lot of the providers who had so many bounce backs and follow-ups, because they treat every face the same way. Your face is not the same as Shala, and Shala's face is not the same as mine, and so on. So even though it's Botox and it's the classes you guys we talked about earlier, they show a general guideline that, okay, the Botox go here, or like these are the muscles that we're trying to relax, and that's more of like a sample, but the art and craft comes from you, and you will learn how to do it, how you will come up with your own craft. And that's why a lot of people are like, well, it's just Botox. And providers or injectors who treat all the faces as one, those are the ones who tend to have a hard time getting through their day. And also, if you don't if their face doesn't become your baby, then it's aesthetics is not for you. So a lot of people, they like, there was a meme that your age is your business, but your face is my business. That's exactly how it is. And if you don't have it, if you don't have that craft or that gift or that art, then and it's fine. Just because you want to do something, like I want to be a pilot too, but I don't like to fly. So, and it's fine. And the hardest part is when people think that it's so easy and you just want to go into it for the wrong reasons, like money, right? So it's a lot of people, they call it the cash cow. So that's not true. So you really have to put a lot of work and really a lot of work and time into every face in one slight move. So for example, the our smile muscles, one little move, it's going to look like that you have stroke, for you're going to have a stroke look, you're going to have the stroke look for the next 3 months, just that. And you've lost that patient, you've lost a friend, you've lost a family. So that's huge. um but yeah, and that's really the one thing that I'm seeing with a lot of people as well, that they treat all the faces the same, when that's not true. And there's a lot more, and a lot of people, they just think that it's more for beauty, or like it's more of for celebrity, but there's a lot of mental health that goes into it. There's a lot of people who come depressed, they just hate themselves, they hate looking at themselves in the mirror. I actually just had someone yesterday, she said, her husband is he's a big guy up there, and she has not been to any of his holiday parties, and he's a well-known guy, and she said, I just hate my face. And then every time I talk about these things, that she doesn't want to go, she doesn't want to participate, her primary care doctor kept putting her on antidepressants. So, and then now she was like, well, I wasn't really depressed, I just didn't like the way a certain part of my face looked. You just tweak those, just kind of like medications. You tweak it and balance everything, then and everything is all good.
This was your first business, right? Or did have you guys opened other businesses before? And if not, how did you kind of get started? Did you just talk to people who did it, or it's very difficult to kind of figure out? Well, do I buy a brick and mortar? How do I advertise myself? How do I get patients to get started? Because it sounds like you have to put a lot of money in to
Yes.
begin with, and then it takes a while to break even, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
So, how did that process work for you guys?
It was our first business. My husband, I'm more of like the face of it, so I do the procedures, but he's on the background. And he doesn't have he's a chiropractor, so he does not have any marketing background. And but he's into these things, so it comes easy for him. Just kind of like aesthetics comes easy to me. The other things come easy to him. He figures it out. But lots of lawyers. So like we met with a lot of attorneys. We wanted to do everything the right way, the correct way, the legal way. Lots of papers, lots of documentation, lots of making sure that everything is aligned with the board of medicine, with the city that we are practicing in. And we were at we were at a different city not a couple of years ago, so different rules, different business licenses, everything was different. So it's a lot of those that he takes care of those documentations for me, the paperwork basically. And I honestly, I wouldn't know what to do if it were up to me. There's He understands them. He knows that the documentation, the paper language. I don't, so I try to stay away from it. And there's a lot of different taxes that you have to pay, and you have to have different consent forms. So all the consent forms are written and reviewed by the lawyers, basically. So we wanted to make sure that, 'cause obviously we've never done this before, and so we wanted to make sure that we're aligned with the law and the rules and regulation of medicine. So he did that part, but it was more of talking to the company, to the reps. They do try to make you buy more, which I did. I fell for it, and you're new, you don't know, and it was hard because you don't have a lot of patients, so and you have to buy in bulk, so you cannot buy one cheek filler, you cannot buy one vial of Botox, so you have to buy them in bulk. But I was very fortunate that I had my volume was high enough that I was able to go through those products. So they never had any expired products, so I was able to use them. But they do get expired, so they yes. Even when I was at different med spa that I used to work at, and they're this is the one that I only work like 4 hours a day, like twice a week for them. So their products were getting expired, so because of the low volume.
So overall, it sounds like you're very busy, and you said you're working 6 days out of the week.
Yeah.
Overall, though, do you feel like your work life balance is better now than when you were working in clinical medicine or in the hospital?
Absolutely. Yes. And that's the crazy part because I work 6 days a week and I have a balanced life. Where before I worked so for example, when I worked at the ER, I worked 3 days a week. I had no life. I was exhausted. And then I would go back to work, for example, after a couple of days, and I had millions of papers to fill out and do all these paperwork. It was just so exhausting. It was draining. And I enjoyed it. I learned a lot. I feel like I wouldn't have been where I am now without all those experiences. And I have worked with a few providers who went straight to aesthetics or derm right after school, and I feel like I have more under my belt comparing to if I had started Botox right fresh out of school. I still understand and know and value my medicines. You still, even though it's Botox and fillers, it's still medicine. So if someone has lupus or any other kind of autoimmune condition, they're different. They're just different people, right? So we treat them differently. And with some of the providers who were in aesthetics all their life, they were treating everybody the same, and that's not the case. And that's how your percentage or risk of complications increase. But yes, and now I work 6 days a week. and it doesn't feel like work. So I get to see my kids in the morning. We have breakfast. I drop them off. Sometimes I drop them off. Sometimes my husband, but either or, that's not a big deal. And then I come to work. I have fun with my girls. It's make them look beautiful, feel beautiful, and then I leave at 5 o'clock. So I never have to do night shifts. I never have to stay until 12 o'clock or so, finish charting. I'm done by 5 o'clock. I go home and I have dinner with them. So they're at daycare for like 5 hours instead of, if I feel like moms who are in the hospital, who work hospital based or medicine, hospital medicine, their kids, and I have family members who are hospitalists. So I see them firsthand. Their kids are at the daycare for like 10, 12 hours, and you feel awful for the kids. You don't get to see them. But for me, I think it's a great work life balance. And my kids know me, they hang out with me. I see my husband, we have a great relationship. But yeah, it's huge, huge difference. And really, it's also different demographics of patients. That's very different. I feel like when I was, especially in the ER and urgent care, the abuse is so high, and it was only getting worse and worse. A lot, not all of them, of course, but a high percentage of them, they treated us like peasants while we were there to help them, to provide them a service. But they were so entitled sometimes. Just we just owed it to them. I don't know what it was about the general medicine, but we're here. It's so different. I remember when I at one of the primary care offices, I had a 1-star review, and this particular manager was so specific about the reviews and wanted everybody to get a 5-star review. And obviously, that's just not possible. So I had a 1-star review because she had to pay like a $15, $25 copay. I'm like, well, I had nothing to do with that. That's you picking your own insurance. So like things like that, that's exhausting. Where here it's different demographics, so a little bit better.
So if you could tell us like 2 or 3 practical steps that you recommend to people who want to pivot, what would it be?
2, 3 steps. One, number one, and this is what I tell pretty much all my students, all my trainees as well. Um, know your strength and know your weaknesses. And some of us, we don't have enough time, especially when we were in the medicine, because we're so burnt out all the time, and it's not feasible. No, as long as you know your weaknesses and your strength, you should be fine. If you have what it takes in aesthetics, you will be fine. You will make it. And then another story that I remember, that when people say that I want to have a life, it depends what that means. It depends what you're looking for. So when you're doing aesthetics, then aesthetics becomes your life. If you're not ready for that, don't do it. This is it, and it's a good way. So for me, and it's 100% true, and someone told me that the aesthetics becomes your life, and it really truly has. But I don't mind it. I love it. I enjoy it. And if you feel like you wanna have a different life aside from aesthetics, then don't do aesthetics. Do that, whatever life that you choose. And then also, if you're a fish, don't try to climb the tree. If you're a fish, stick with swimming. Stay in your pond, keep swimming, you're fine. Just because you want to climb the tree, I do too. That doesn't mean that you should. So those are the ones who get disappointed when they're outside of your skill set. You should know. We all know our weaknesses. So I've always been into procedures. So even when I was in the ER, urgent care, lots of procedures, and most of the providers that I work with, their background was either family medicine or internal medicine, and they don't have heavy training on procedures, which is fine. So, and that's when they called upon us. So, like PAs, we get trained on procedures a lot, and I genuinely enjoyed the procedures. So I was very okay with that. So if there's sutures or whatever procedure was coming in, I was the first one to jump on it. So I always enjoy that. And that's why it came kind of the second nature to me. So even in there's so much they can teach you when you do the training. You can do all the training you want to, but if it doesn't come to you, if it doesn't come to you easy, if it doesn't come to you second nature, then that's probably not for you. You obviously have other strengths, maybe you can explore that, but just because aesthetic is so hot, has a great work life balance and a little bit more money on the side, that doesn't mean that it's for everybody. So that's what I would look into, those two things, and then train. See what you like. If you fall in love with it, it's for you. If it feels like work, it's not for you. Well, now that I'm here at my work at my office, it doesn't feel like work. That's why I'm here 6 days a week. It feels like I'm just hanging out with my girls and I'm just having fun. So those are the things that I tell my trainees as well. So I can almost tell. So the way they hold the syringe, I can tell because they it's very awkward. So they can work on it, but it's not gonna be that. It's still gonna feel like work. Let's put it that way. It's still gonna feel like work because they're not gonna enjoy it.
Do you think you're going to do this for a long time?
I want to. There are days that I'm kind of like, well, not me. It's my husband's like, well, you need to retire. I probably could retire, but I don't think I want to. If I retire, that means I'm going to be stuck with my kids at home, right? Nobody wants to do that, but full time. And they're gonna be starting school soon. So yes, I will probably do it for fun because I do enjoy it. I actually, not too long ago, I was thinking about hobbies and I was like, let me see if I can explore and see if I can find a hobby for myself. Because now everybody labels this as my job, right? Before they labeled it as my hobby. So I was like, well, now that it's a job, let me see if I can find a hobby and find something else. I don't know, like crochet or something. And not that I have not come up with anything. I don't think, I think this is my hobby in a way.
I think we all wish we could say we could retire. We're just doing this for fun. Oh my gosh, I aspire for that one day, Miriam. Where can our listeners find you or connect with you?
Yes. So our Instagram is Zen_Med Spa_DMV. Our website is Zen Aesthetics Med Spa.com. And we are located in Manassas, Virginia, and serving pretty much DC, Virginia, and Maryland.
Glad that we got to talk to you on this podcast. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners learned, and I learned actually from this myself. Do you see a lot of physicians doing aesthetics?
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. So when I got into it, because of me hopping around from urgent care to primary care to internal medicine to ER, and only I did that, and it's frowned upon, right? Only did that to find my niche. Because I didn't know this is what I was made for. And then a lot of the physicians, they were from like ER, from like my urgent care, from all of them, they were reaching out like, hey, how did you start this? Do you think I can do it? So I was sending same recommendation of like, look into the courses. You have to get certified. You have to love it. You have to enjoy it. You have to breathe it, live it, eat it, drink it. And yeah, if you are really truly in it, then you'll be successful. And obviously you don't want to go into it for the money and then not be successful and close it down, because that's going to be huge loss. Because you're going to be investing. Things are expensive, fillers are expensive, Botox, everything aesthetics obviously is expensive. And the reason the prices are so high, because we buy them high. So and you don't want to get into it and start up and not follow through. Those are the ones that it's a lot of people, physicians, or there's a lot of nurses, they're doing that, which is fine, but it's a little scary, especially the nurses out of school. So they don't see the business side of it. So the failure rate is very, very, very high in aesthetics. But if you make it, once you make it, then you are queen.
That's great advice. And thank you so much for giving us all this great information.
Thank you guys. Thank you for having me. I had a great time chatting with you guys.
And if you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and rate this podcast. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Stay strong, stay empowered, and we'll see you next time.
All right.